Hi, this is Jamie Cannell. I'm one of the Worksite Wellness Coordinators for Be Well at Work. And today's presentation is going to be on sugar and the effects that it has on the body. So I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing here. I will enclose an entire um, link to the presentation so you can read the slide for slide. I don't want to read the slide to you exactly, but I will be kind of summarizing the important parts of the presentation on sugar. And sugar is very interesting. There's a lot of good data on why too much of sugar is not a good thing for us. And so let's go ahead and start the presentation and I'll share my screen. Thanks for joining. So looking at sugar, we're going to talk a little about what sugar is, how it affects the body, how it contributes to poor health. And there's a little quiz at the end. And we'll also talk about some healthy alternatives to sugar when you're baking or looking just to sweeten things up just a little bit. So sugar is the generic name for sweet tasting soluble carbohydrates. So a lot of times you hear people that are on a lower carbohydrate diet and they lose a significant amount of weight. Most of the time, carbohydrates contain a lot of sugar, especially when they're processed foods. So that's why people that do go on lower carbohydrate diets do tend to lose some weight if they have a highly processed diet to begin with. Of course, cutting anything out will definitely result in some weight loss. You've done something different, so you'll see a change. Um, Sucrose is the generic name for table sugar, just the white powdery, or not white powdery stuff, but just the white granulated grains that you will see. And then sugar, the reason it can become addictive is because it gives quite a dopamine hit to the body. So when you take that in, it goes directly to the sensor in the brain, and it definitely makes you want to crave more. So that's why sugar is sometimes very hard to give up. So different types of sugar, there's glucose, and that is a type of sugar in honey, fruits, and vegetables. We do need some glucose in our diet for our brain to function. And so cutting out one food group wouldn't be advisable, but there are better ways to get that glucose than picking up a candy bar. And not to say candy bars are bad. I'm sure there's a time and a place, but when looking to fuel the body and fuel the brain, we want to look for those natural forms of glucose found in fruits and vegetables. Fructose is another one. It's found in fruits and honey. Sucrose, we talked about table sugar. And lactose is also a sugar. It's the sugar found in milk and cheeses. Sometimes it's one that we have a hard time digesting. So all carbohydrates are broken down into sugars for use by the body. So we kind of covered that. Sugar is broken down into glucose and fructose, which is also used by the body. And like I said earlier, sugar is needed. And that's not always a bad thing. The sugar, the energy that you get from an apple or a pear, it does a lot for the body and for the brain. Sugar can become a bad option when it becomes the majority of your calories for the day. So say you're having that 32-ounce Mountain Dew in the morning. So let's just say that's about 144 teaspoons or tablespoons of sugar. That's when it can be bad. That's a lot of sugar at one point in time. So you have to really kind of think of it. Do I want the apple or do I want the 32-ounce Mountain Dew? There's a good time to have that apple in your diet because it's going to give your body and your brain the sugar energy that is actually needed. Now, when you do take in too much sugar, again, relay this all back to like a packaged item, like a carbohydrate, like a cookie that's full of sugar. That's when, if you have too much of that, that's when the body is storing that. And that's when your metabolic health changes. It changes how your body stores the sugar and how your body uses the sugar. Because when you have too much sugar, it gets stored as fat. And then just looking at how to recognize sugar in our foods. We're looking at the calories. This is the nutrition label. You can look at the top. Number one is there are 4 servings in this particular item. Each serving is a 1 cup. You look at the calories in each of those 1 cup servings. And then you scroll down to the bottom, you're looking at the sugars that are in it. So this isn't horrible, 6 grams of sugars. It definitely could be a lot worse. So not a bad option. This is just how to recognize sugar that is in other items. You can tell in different recipes that are out there now, you'll see coconut sugar, you'll see agave, you'll see grade A maple syrup. So that all those things are still sugar. Now, the body can process them different, but at the end of the day, they're still sugar. And again, anything used in high amounts, your body will store as fat because it won't be able to use it all. Now let's see this here for a second. And this is just another byproduct of sugar. One tagline from this is sugar does not clearly cause type 2 diabetes, but increased sugar intake is associated with obesity. And obesity increases your risk of diabetes by those over 90 times than those who have normal weight. So choose an alternate path. You can A, reduce the amount of sugar in something. You know, still, if you're drinking a sweet tea, say you've done this your entire life, I would suggest just cutting the sweet tea in half. Do half a sweet and then half unsweet. And then gradually train your brain to not need that hit of sugar. You can replace the added sugar. So instead of using that sucrose, the table sugar, you can go ahead and try to flavor your tea or your water with some fruit. You could use a little tablespoon of honey, maple syrup. These are all examples of replacing just the granulated sugar. And if you're going to have oatmeal, you could replace the brown sugar with some blueberries. You know, sometimes even using a frozen blueberry is nice because as they melt, they go ahead and kind of create their own little juice. And then that would sweeten up your oatmeal. It is tough just to go cold turkey on sugar. If you do that, that's great. If that works for you, you might have a headache. Just continue to keep yourself hydrated. And hopefully in a few days that will kind of help your sugar headache. So just to review, sugar is a carbohydrate that can provide energy to the body. Think of berries and grapes and apples. These are all some great choices of sugar that your brain needs. Unhealthy amounts of sugar have been associated with increased inflammation in the body and a definite risk for type 2 diabetes and a weight gain. Remember, when we go back to that, it's not so much that the sugar causes diabetes, it's the excess sugar that gets stored in the body as fat, which causes obesity, and then that can lead to type 2 diabetes. Sugar is hidden in many foods, comes by many different names. So always look at that nutrition label to see per serving how many grams of sugar are in your item. And just consider taking a tiered approach to reducing your sugar. Start by cutting the tea or soda in half. Maybe do half a soda and a lot more ice so it kind of waters it down. And then gradually take it slow. If this is something you've been doing for a long time and cold turkey isn't the best solution for you, try just scaling back. Maybe instead of 3 sodas a day, you're having a soda and then a water. And then really asking yourself, hey, that water tasted pretty good. Do I need another soda? So just really stopping and being present in the moment and seeing if it's really what your body needs. So that's the presentation on sugar. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, we're always here to help. Just keep in mind that trying to go to a honey and if you can find a local honey, even better. If you try to go to that grade A maple syrup, not the Aunt Jemima's or the log cabins, it's going to be a more condensed bottle. And it is more expensive. However, a little bit goes a very long way. And then really just keep in mind, get out there, keep moving. That extra sugar, while your brain needs it, in mass quantities, it does get stored as fat. So best of luck. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.